Harsh realities. Life is full of harsh realities, man. I wish I could say that I naturally had the mental fortitude or even the resilience to withstand it situation by situation. But I still make do and I still learn and I still grow. Even if I am stubborn enough to engage in those very things that make me feel low. But exposure to these things that make you feel that it's not all bad. It's not all bad. I always speak in terms of double-edged swords because I mean, what thing isn't? Find me something that isn't a double-edged sword. All right. Like for example, you may have a strong bond with somebody, but soon it's going to end. And it never ends in a happy way. But anyway, why do I bring up this video? I mean, the idea has been in my mind for a while. And probably because of the recurring thing in my personal life. And I realized that the more of an iconoclast you are, the more you will be mocked. And you can be very much convinced that because you get mocked by so many people that you're the problem or the things that you're speaking on are incorrect. All right? It doesn't feel good to be mocked. And for this reason, a lot of people they keep how they feel to themselves. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it isn't. But I've learned from people who have found ways to take on some of the harshest criticism and still keep thriving. I learned from them. Still looking to apply this to my own life. And I've said this in probably many ways before. But the more confident you are within yourself and with who you've become, the less the outside chatter seems to matter. This is why I am big on immersion, even if at times it's just ideologies. So I may be big on immersion, but may not be immersing myself in the things that I ought to be immersing myself in. My studies, my research. I should be spending a lot more time doing that, a lot less time engaging with people who seek to misunderstand, who want to mock, who want to talk down on people because they have nothing going for themselves. All right. What's the expression? You can play stupid games, win stupid prizes, something like that. I got to have more respect for myself. You got to have more respect for yourself so you don't go back and forth with people who are going nowhere, just circling around the drain, just circling around, just waiting to reach the bottom of that drain. But until then, they just circling. They don't know where they're going. You can see where they're going. And look at you, just flirting with them. When that's not meant for you. One thing I was thinking earlier, trade in mediocre for okay. Trade in okay for good. Trade in good for great. Trade in great for the impossible. But let me speak more on about being your biggest supporter, being your biggest fan, your biggest best friend, your best, your biggest hype man. And I would know. I've seen many people come and go. And as I change, so do the people around me. One thing that I haven't been blessed with yet is an environment or a social circle that represents who I've become as a person. And I realized to carve your own path through a world like this, it takes a bit of insanity. It really does. There are times where you have to look at yourself as if it's a different person, as if it's a separate person. Like you got to split yourself into two. So when you sit down to do something creative or to do something productive, that is the time where you split yourself in half to hype yourself, critique yourself, be a fan of yourself. See, there are a lot of you out there who are extremely talented, but because the people around you aren't hyping you up every step of the way, they aren't giving you the recognition that you think you deserve or that you want or that would make you feel good. You just engage in the everyday activities of the common man, but you don't want to be common. You're not common. And so this is where the insanity kicks in, you know, where you and I, we feel withdrawn to where all the eyes and ears and all the attention, rests where they all are. Facebook, for example, we feel pulled in by it, but if we can find a way to take, the opposite route, then we stand to benefit. I'm going to make a video on that talking about um, the things that you don't do. I'm not saying don't do these things, but I'm saying it's the things that you don't do that you that you can that you stand to benefit from is what I'm trying to get at. All right. So in my 11 years being on Facebook, I've gotten I've gotten some good out of it, but ultimately I look at it as a distraction for one. But I've been asking myself, and I asked myself today, what are you missing out on if you just stop showing up? Nobody's gonna check up on you. You're not gonna lose any money. Oh, the 17 likes you got on that one post. The oh, your dopamine would really miss that now, wouldn't it? Trade good for great. Couldn't even argue that that was very much good, but trade it for something better. That's what life is all about. And I realize it's a lot easier to kind of snap into when you set your day up in such a way where, all right, you're limiting distractions and maybe you already laid out a to-do list, goals or whatever it is. And so you hop right into it with the mindset that you're bringing a fan along. Now just imagine if you were able to have a fan shadow you. Well, you might try to show off. I've had some distant fans when it comes to like some of the books that I wrote or something like that. Never had them shadow me. Never had them like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what comes next. And you probably never had that either. But that option is always readily available. It's just that you have to take that position. And what I found that the positions that aren't being filled can be filled by you. The things that are missing in your life can be fulfilled by you. All right? You never had a father in your life. Well, then you learn how to be a father to yourself, to your kids, whatever. You never had true love, so learn how to love yourself. You know, you never had anybody to teach you how to rise above the norm, rise above the system that's been holding you down. So teach yourself. All those resources are readily available. Deprivation breeds necessity, which can breed action. It's a benefit to not having these things. It's a benefit to look out at the world around you and not find what you're looking for. Because then you get to birth and embody that. Something that they can't take away from you. They can't take away your system. All right. They can kick you out of theirs or they can make you suffer when you're trying to operate under their system. They can't ruin yours. All right. You can only allow them to ruin what you got, what you put on the table. I am greatly moved by disgust. And so I will be taking a new approach when it comes to self mastery. And that's very important. When you talk about being your biggest supporter, self mastery is optimal. I don't like how people treat me. I don't like how people treat me when I put myself out there with the intentions of not only opening people's eyes um, to the darkness in the world, to the suffering, to the evils of this world. Uh, I don't like it, and also I don't like that I feel negatively affected by the things that people say about me. You know, even like when I'm speaking on a certain subject matter, and I see people may share things that I say, and then in the comments you see people post pictures of me, make fun of the way that I look. I don't like that, and I don't like how I feel insecure because of that. And it's not enough to make me want to curl up and die or end it all, or it's not enough to make me want to play it small. In fact, it's a good thing. And it makes me want to go extremely hard now. Something that's extremely satisfying about getting that last laugh. It is. Call it childish, call it petty. But in this life, victories they don't really come too often, you know. Or maybe they do. Maybe it's a victory when you're unaffected by what people have to say about you and people mock you and things like that. But there's a bright side to me being negatively affected by these things, because if I wasn't, then I would keep doing the same old things that would have me circling around in the drain. When I understand that there's something greater out there, something great out there for me. It's always been out there for me. But I emptied myself out at times, worrying about the wrong things. I talk all this talk about legacy, you know, what I want to be remembered for and things like that. I'm not going to be remembered doing what the common man does. I'm not good at it. And that's why I don't stand out when I do what they do, or when I go to their platforms and speak the way that I do, talk the way that I do, speak on the things that I want to speak on. It's not well received. But the message to myself is well received. Is that message is they didn't come here to get their eyes peeled. They came for the distraction of it all because life is unbearable. Or because they don't have anything to move them, they got to be moved by what they see. Nothing different from your grandparents who relied on the media, who relied on the news to move. Ain't nothing new under the sun, just a different platform. Thank you, young Jack. Or if you pronounce it Jock, I'm sorry, but thank you. Um, I will be strong. I will be strong. I understand. Well, first of all, I understand why depression, anxiety, all these things, suicide's at an all-time high, and I understand how these plantation esque social media platforms can overcome a man. They feel forced into a box when you got the option to say anything that's on your mind. You have the option to do these things, and you feel pressure to stay inside this box, and you feel antsy and you feel anxious when you kind of color outside of the lines. I know how that goes. I've been there. But the more and more I got in touch with what it means to be me, the more people didn't like that. All right, I've been blocked by many. Shouldn't be affected by that. Because at the end of the day, I know none of these people, they know me. And so I was thinking when I was talking about, all right, scale back on this Facebook use or whatever. And I say, well, I mean, if people really miss me or whatever, I mean, they can come looking for me. What are the chances that people come looking for me? Not very high. And I got to be okay with that. I got to trade that for something greater. All right. The thing is, I may not know what that thing is. I don't know. I may not know when it's going to come, but I do know that if I do trade these things off, I don't think anything would be more satisfying than what I build for myself. All right. I can't get mad if I hop out of the pool, if I hop out of the public pool and nobody wants to come to my party when I leave. They don't know me. Yeah, we were in this together, but they're staying there and I'm going my own direction. All right. I can only really expect people to stay, and I can't even say that. But I can own one thing that I can bet on is the things that I build that are custom to what I seek, to what I want out of life. And that's the same thing for you. Nothing will ever be more satisfying than what's meant for you. All right. So, with that being said, with this new approach that I'm taking, I'll probably be spending. I mean, and I put a lot of work onto this platform, which it's not my platform, but it feels more freeing to sit in front of a camera and understand that I'm talking to people who subscribe to me because of the things that I talk about, my pattern, whatever it is. All right. And at least if people share my stuff and start mocking me, I have a tough time, just tracing, finding the people mocking me or whatever it is. Unless somebody makes a video about me, which I mean, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I was going to say that I'm going to be focusing more on production, less on consuming, unless I'm consuming, you know, uh, information, you know, self-help books, um, biographies, things of that nature. And so I'm going to end this video, and I'm gonna come right back with another one. And so thank you for tuning in.